Ah yes, Pokemon Black and White 2. Some say it's the most forgettable game, but others claim it as the best. There's plenty to love about Generation 5. The gym leaders, Team Plasma, the Pokemon, but one aspect that I guarantee people won't say they love is Pokéstar Studios. If you were to ask someone what they loved most about Pokemon Black and White 2, it's probably not Pokéstar Studios. But if you were to ask someone what they didn't like about Black and White 2, it's probably also not Pokéstar Studios. That's because this piece of the game is so forgettable. It's placed right at the beginning of the game where players are eager to progress, so it's so easily dismissed. I mean, I've done it several times myself. But in this video, we're ignoring it no more. I'm gonna play through all of Pokéstar Studios and give it the attention it deserves. But before we get started, what does it mean to play through it? What am I supposed to do? Well, the premise of this feature is that we're actors trying to produce the best movie. There's a ton of scripts that we can act out, and the better we follow the scripts, the better the movie performs. The game will give you Pokemon to use, so don't worry about which Pokemon to catch or which one looks the best on the movie screen. You actually are forced to make a movie the first time you arrive here called Bryson Man. It features you as Riolu Kid and Bryson as Bryson Man, where you play as the hero to battle in an amusement park. Every movie you make has 3 kinds of endings. A good one by following the script, a bad one by deviating from the script, and a strange one by doing something unexpected. For our purposes today, we're only going to be looking at the good endings because that's all we really need to do to complete all of Pokéstar Studios. For the first movie you make, all you need to do is knock out a Pokemon every scene. Thankfully, the Riolu you're given has both Force Palm for the Pawniard and Ice Punch for Vullaby, so this really shouldn't be a problem. If you watch the movie in the theaters, you'll see that the audience loves the film, and you can also check how well the movie's doing. Once one movie is made, the game will offer you other scripts to act in, but some other scripts are locked behind the post-game. I want to unlock all the scripts first before filming them, so it's on to beat the game. Just a quick side note, you are allowed to use your own Pokemon in the movies after you've filmed the script once with a rental Pokemon. If your own Pokemon creates a movie with a strange ending, it'll become a star sensation overnight and actually gain its own unique entry animation. Now that the game is beaten, we've unlocked a couple more scripts to film. There are still 2 or 3 more to unlock, but that'll be done throughout the filming process. Every movie series has 2 to 3 sequels, so we'll be completing the movies in order of a series before moving on to the next. We've started with Bryson Man, so the next one up is Bryson Man Strikes Back. The goal of this movie is to survive 5 scenes without knocking out your opponents. Our Lucario has Protect and Endure with leftovers. The Honchkrow does have Wing Attack for neutral damage, but if you pace yourself correctly, you should be able to survive 5 turns. The next sequel, Bryson Man Strikes Back 2, has us fighting directly against Bryson. Our only goal for this film is to knock out Bryson. His other Pokemon don't matter. During the filming process, Bryson will be replaced by a prop because, of course, that's how acting works. You're given 2 Lucarios, but the second one has Fury Cutter, perfect for the prop, which is Dark Psychic type. You do need to quick attack the prop first to use up its eject button. Then we can sack our first Lucario to the Zoroark, which has Flamethrower to kill us. From here, our second Lucario can build up Fury Cutters to knock out the prop when it comes out next. If you do find yourself having trouble sticking to the script, you can always just post a bad movie, then go back and refilm with your own Pokemon. And of course, there's always information on Bulbapedia, so search if you need to. That's it for the Bryson Man series for now. The second series to film is Invaders. Here, we need to beat the invading aliens LGM, but only the LGM. Another important aspect of the filming process is the lines. Not only do we need to battle according to the script, but we also need to choose the lines that best suit the movie. Here, the correct choice is I'll block it here. Choosing the lines actually determines what moves the opposing Pokemon will use. This doesn't really matter most of the time, but make sure you choose the right line that gives you the good ending. Invaders 2 reveals that a suspicious woman has come up with a plan to thwart the invasion. The prop turns into a UFO later during filming, and the goal is to specifically beat the UFO using Zap Cannon and Lock On. In this fight, it is important to choose the correct lines. By choosing the line on it in filming, it forces the UFO to use counter, which isn't affected by Zap Cannon. If you were to choose any of the other lines, it would force the UFO to start attacking you or recovering HP, which isn't ideal since you only have a limited amount of scenes. For Invaders 3, the goal is to knock out only the Behem and ignore the Ferroseed. You're given a Vullaby with Whirlwind, which might seem straightforward, but if you try thiefing the Ferroseed, you'll actually see that it's holding a Chesto Berry. You will need this berry because choosing the correct response will prompt the Behem to hit you with Charge Beams. You definitely can't survive enough hits without using Rest, so it's important you Chesto Resto a few times. The HP on Vullaby can actually get quite tight here. The issue is that while yes, you can force the opposing Pokemon to use a specific move, the prompt isn't always offered on the first turn, which means that until you can select a line, the opposing Pokemon can use any move at random. so you do actually kind of need to get lucky here. I was only able to complete this on the 3rd attempt because we got lucky on the pin missile. In Invaders 4, it turns out that the invasion was actually started by the mysterious woman in the first place. And before I begin, they start off with a really strong Emolga. They have a UFO on the back who's psychic and electric type with levitate. Realistically, Reuniclus with Psywave ain't doing shit here, but our Krokorok in the back has Earthquake for super effective damage. You see, what you need to do here is to trick off the iron ball that Emolga is holding and trick that onto the UFO to drop it to the ground. That way, EQ can hit for super effective damage. Throughout the process, you'll probably end up taking a lot of damage, so you'll probably need to retry a couple times. I only got it on my 2nd try because your health is exactly calculated for you to win, so if they ever crit you, you're cooked. The next series to star in is this big monster series. A mysterious Tyranitar appears, and as a hero, we must defeat it. We need to survive 4 scenes, but we can't knock out the opponents. This one's pretty easy though because we have a decently bulky Slowbro with Slakoth and Citrus Berry Recycle. The sequel though is quite interesting. It's the first time that 2 different prompts are actually both considered good prompts, but they bait in different moves from the prop or Mecha Tyranitar. I start by setting up a Sunny Day on the first turn. Either This Way MT or Over Here works as good prompts. They bait in Iron Head and Surf respectively, which doesn't really matter on the Slowbro, but since I'm planning to swap in on the Typhlosion to kill with Overheat, I want to select for This Way MT, which baits in the resisted Iron Head. This way we can swap it in on a Resist and Overheat to kill. Big Monster Episode 3 has us back fighting against Tyranitar. We both have a Starmie and the Slowbro and 15 total turns to defeat 2 Tyranitars. This one can seem kinda tough at first, but selecting for the what forces the Tyranitar into using weak moves, which gives me enough leeway to knock them both out with brines. In the final act of the Big Monster series, Mecha Tyranitar comes back with an upgrade. We have 15 turns to kill with a Duosion and a Slowbro. The idea here is to skill swap the prop Pokemon to remove its Flash Fire ability. Slowbro in the back only has Sunny Day and Flamethrower as attacks, so make sure you skill swap on the first turn. You might have also seen that the MT2 has Thunderbolt, but that's okay. You get a 2nd line to read, and if you choose the sneaky line, it baits the weak Flamethrower into Slowbro. At this point, we're a quarter of the way done through the movies, and next up is Time Fate Traveler. The premise here is that now time travel has been proven to work, and they've traveled to your time. This one's simple. 4 turns to knock out the prop. The prop Pokemon is holding a choice specs, so we want to trick it over to us to boost our damage and kill the prop just in time. The time machine brings us into the future where Pokemon now actually catch people. We're up against a future Ledian and his Black Belt human. Here, our goal is to withstand 5 turns without knocking out the human. We have Rest, Protect, and Skill Swap to remove its huge power ability, so it's quite a simple task. But this does open up the hypothetical, like what happens in the future if we're put in this aliens control human situation and now we're forced to battle like the Hunger Games? Would you have the wit to survive? Comment down below. The 3rd and final act of this sci-fi time travel is that we have to go to change the future to prevent such a future from happening. With Reuniclus all grown up at our side, we need to defeat the time machine with Thunder, but they also have a human out in front. The way we do this is to trick over the red card onto us. This way the next turn when they attack, they automatically get swapped out, giving us the free turn to set up a Rain Dance. This way, a couple of Thunders can deal enough to defeat the time machine. The next script has us starring in a romance movie. In this sequel to Anyone But You, we have to beat the opposing girl to show her the fiery passion of our love. Take it easy on me. That's really nice. I'll do my best. I think I've swayed her a little too hard, because in the next scene, this time we gotta let her win. Show her that we can be compassionate and that we do have a soft side, only for her. Let's go on a date, I say, and she tells me to get a life. In the 3rd and final act, I have one last chance to woo her into me. I love you! She wants us to prove to her that we truly do love her by remembering the one place that's important to us. It's the Ferris wheel. And just like that, we have our sweetheart confirmed. It's just that easy, boys. In the next series that we're casting in, we're co-starring alongside Sabrina of Fuchsia City. In the first act, we just need to beat her Pokemon in 7 scenes. Selecting for the good prompt, Defeat Them, guarantees her Pokemon to confuse us, but our Destiny Knot returns the favor. We can also land all the necessary Astonishes and Icy Winds within the 7 allotted turns to claim victory in the first movie. In the sequel, she calls upon her summoning jutsu Rashomon. It's a grass-type wall that we can bait into Lucky Chanting by choosing the correct prompts. However, the goal is to defeat it with Astonish and not any of our ice moves. Since the power of Astonish is way too low, we have to chip it down with Ice Beams and Icy Winds before Astonish can confirm the kill. Luckily, with the Lucky Chant playing into our favor, we don't have to worry about crits, and the combination of 3 Ice Beams puts it in exactly an Astonish kill range. The goal of the finale is the same as before, except now with the restriction of not being able to knock out any other Pokemon. Sabrina has 2 Rashomons for me to break through. However, we can only knock down the second door. I take the first few turns to set up acid armors. This way I can prepare myself for the second door incoming. On the third turn of setting up acid armor, by choosing the correct response, I can force out the white door with baton pass. The black door is a grass type, so I'll have to take a third turn to set up hail. But even if you misclick and don't kill the first door, which you can't since it's level 7, selecting the unforgivable prompt will force the white door out to baton pass on the third scene. With hail set up and the grass Rashomon out, weather ball can hit for super effective damage. Your health might get a little tight near the end since the good prompts always force the doors to use Inferno or Toxic, both moves that deal damage over time, but if you get to set up the hail, your ice body will kick in and keep you alive. We're about halfway through the movies now, and the next one up is called The Giant Woman. This movie series is actually locked until you gross 1,000 billion on all your other movies, but it shouldn't be an issue if you've been getting all the good endings. We get into an argument with our girlfriend, and we need to let our Pokemon get knocked out because somehow we're wrong in this argument. Selecting for the good prompt always forces the girl's Blitzel to use Stomp, so if you just keep minimizing, eventually Stomp will do enough damage to knock out your Pokemon. It turns out that we're arguing because we're a hoarder and she's had enough of cleaning up after us. As she picks up a Pokeball off the floor, it opens up and catches her inside of it. Alright, just a side note, alright? I'm not a hoarder, but I am a guy. If I put something somewhere, wherever it is, on the ground, on my chair, on my desk, don't touch it because I know where I put it, so if you move it, then it's gone. Anyway, in the sequel to The Giant Woman, an ace trainer arrives and tries to take the Pokeball from us. And somehow our goal here is to not save the woman, but to actually let our own Pokemon be knocked out again. Seriously, what's with us and throwing the battles? I get it when I was trying to rizz up the girl in the other movie, but what does losing have to do with this one? After we sandbag this fight, the ace trainer managed to snatch the Pokeball from us and takes it away, so we gotta catch up with him to explain that it's our girlfriend in there. In Act 3 of this series, we catch him in the streets of Castelia. We start a battle with him, but he ends up using our girlfriend in the battle against us. I make sure to let him know that that's our girlfriend, but the Pokeball's malfunctioning and he can't return her into the Pokeball. We can't exactly attack her girlfriend, so our goal for this battle is to just stall for 6 turns. Our girlfriend is forced to use Focus Punch if we select the Calm Down prompt, which of course works always so well in real life. This is good though because we have Fly on our Ducklet, which means that we can either dodge the attack when we go up, or interrupt the Focus Punch when we go down. After stalling for the 6 turns needed, we can finally calm down our girlfriend to stop her from destroying the city when she finally spots us down below so tiny. In the final act of this hidden love story, we still have to live through 6 turns and defeating our girlfriend is no good. The argument comes back to us again. It's your fault I turned so big, so I apologized. You're always apologizing, do you mean it? Yes, of course, that's why I apologized. And then she breaks down. My life is ruined, I'm gonna be big for the rest of my life. You don't wanna live with a monster like me, do you, Nick? So I gotta tell her to knock it off, she's self-destructing here. I'm at my last wits here. I tell her that I love her at any size, and the movie ends with her at least satisfied knowing that I'll always be there for her. With the conclusion of The Giant Woman, the clerk at the film studio tells me that we're actually unlocked another movie series called Full Metal Cop. The requirements for this series is to gross 500 billion on any single movie. There isn't a way of knowing which movie will get you that 500 billion mark, but as a general rule, following the script and going for good endings will net you more money. The later movies in the series also nets you more money, so just keep on filming good movies until eventually one grosses enough money. This movie actually has us starring as a well-known thief and not a hero in this case. In this movie, we have a run-in with Mecha Cop and the World Police. This police officer is strict and believes in using maximum force for detaining me, a simple petty theft. But somehow, I gotta let my Pokemon get knocked out in 5 turns. But hey, you can't resist authority, can you? I still gotta make this an entertaining movie though, so the line you have to pick is I won't lose. Once your Pokemon are knocked out, you're arrested and taken to jail. In true heist fashion, we escape from the authorities and once again meet Mecha Cop in the middle of a heist. Just because we're a bad guy doesn't mean we're a bad guy. Again, we have to let our Sneasel be knocked out. Selecting for the correct prompt of Stop Bluffing forces their sock to continuously use Counter. Our Sneasel has Brick Break, which forces us to take double damage from Counter. And after our Pokemon's knocked out, once again we're arrested and escorted to jail for a second time. In Act 3, we escape again from the grasp of Mecha Cop, but this time instead of going for a usual heist, we close in on Mecha Cop's sister. We're still somehow on the train of losing our battles, so again we need to let our Pokemon be defeated. This filming process can be a little difficult because you're given 3 Sneasels against our only Sewaddle. It can basically die to any hit since all of our Sneasel are equipped with a gem to boost our damage. Additionally, Sewaddle only has Flail as an attacking move, which requires it to be at low HP. The way you throw this battle is by attacking it first turn while it sets up an Endure. This leaves it at 1 HP, where you can set up a Sunny Day to boost the Sewaddle's speed since it has Chlorophyll. In this position, the Sewaddle is both faster than us and deals enough flail damage for us to throw the battle. With our team defeated, she makes a citizen's arrest and hands me over to the Mecha Cops. You might have to refilm this a couple times because the first turn doesn't always guarantee the Sewaddle to use Endure. The fourth and final act of this series is the same premise as the last 3 movies. Seriously, who the fuck is watching these? We escape from the police again. We need to throw the battle. This scene is a lot easier to film though. Despite all those Pokeballs in his trench coat, he's only packing a single Escavalier. On the first turn, you can set up a Swagger to boost its attack. This way, we can just easily sack our Weavile and 5 Sneasels. It's important to note that you need to always select Low Kick and never Ice Punch because your Sneasels are holding an Ice Gem. It would do way too much damage to the Escavalier, but other than that, we can finally admit our defeat and accept our loss at the hands of Mechacop Bryson. With the romance and action filmed and starred in, we move into the horror industry. This first series is called the Red Fog of Terror. The crimson mist slowly creeps in and out of the fog steps a humanoid shadow. The monster is normal type but has Shadow Claw on its roster. If you choose the right prompt, Better Wait and See, they'll only go for Scratch. We set up a Reflect on the first turn to increase our defenses, then knock it out with Psy Beams. We've slayed the monster, but we're not out of the fog yet. The next scene has us fighting against a horde of humanoids. The red fog is terrorizing the people of an amusement park, and in true horror fashion, we make the terrible choice of playing the hero. For real, if this was me, I'm running away. This is much harder to film because we're only given a single Sigilif. The key to winning this is by whirlwinding out the first humanoid. Selecting the good prompt of I'll finish it forces the good guy to use Dark Pulse, but the other 5 to use Acid, which is a lot weaker. This gives us the chance to set up our stats with Calm Mind and knock out every single one of them with Psychic. It's very important you select the right prompt here because if you don't, the other humanoids all have super effective moves. Night Slash, Thunder Punch, Rock Slide, etc. But anyway, with all the humanoids, at least for now, held back, I can run off out of the park. The final season of the Red Fog of Terror is one of the hardest movies to film. Our only goal is to defeat the big monster at the very back, but it outlevels us by 10 and has a super effective Dark Pulse. Additionally, the humanoid that we need to get through first has Explosion. The first humanoid is not hard to get past, just click Protect and select the I Won't Forgive You prompt to force the explosion. But it does force out the big monster out next immediately. The issue is that it does way too much damage, and it's got a high chance to confuse you. Also, it's a dark type, and your only damaging move is Psychic and Shadow Ball. The way your health and turns are set up is that by the time you deal enough damage, you would have either died to Confusion Recoil, or they outspeed and kill you. I had to refilm this movie 8 different times because I always died to Confusion or lost too much HP. This movie's set up in a way that you have to be lucky. Either you get a defense drop, a critical hit, or anything to improve your odds. You can't bank on hitting through Confusion because if you ever do get confused, then you're guaranteed to hit yourself. It will likely take you a couple tries to beat it, but eventually I did get a run where I crit my first Psychic after the Miracle Eye. Then we barely survive on the third Confusion on 11 HP before hitting back with a Psychic to finally finish the film. With the monster behind it all defeated, the Red Fog retreats back and the sun rises, awakening the next day. This next one we're filming, you might not have unlocked it yet if you're skipping through the video. You need to gross a total of $2,500 billion in movies to unlock. This might seem like a lot since most of your movies are only grossing 2 to 300 billion, but if you consistently make good movies, you can easily reach that 2,500 billion threshold. In this movie, we play as a scientist assistant testing sentient robot communication. Say that 10 times. We obviously can't damage the new invention, so we just gotta wait it out. Playing through it though is pretty simple. The F-Zero has Volt Absorb, so just keep using charge beams. We start with the classic good morning to see if the robot has greeting abilities. The robot then returns us a question, who are we? And we reply that we're a friend, someone that you like. For now, this concludes the test, and we move on to the next scene. The scientist though was not satisfied. He continues to tweak the robot's programming and memory to be more like a human. Our goal is the same, wait out all the turns, and we're given charm on our dealing to stall out those 6 turns. We're teaching the robot how to have fun and what it means to play. They pose us a question, do you love me? Of course I do, we respond. I can't say no, it's just learning what the whole spectrum of emotions is. But we gotta take each step slow. I'm telling the robot to take it easy since its battery's running out, but it's demanding we have more fun. It's just gotta be patient. In the third act, our scientist has gone too far, erasing the robot's programming, forcing it to obey its every command. He's turned it into a military weapon. He says that the lab is losing funding, and the money from selling this technology is the only way to keep the lab alive. The robot F-Zero no longer recognizes us anymore, and it blindly attacks us. This is another one of the scenes that I had to reshoot several times. The goal for this one is to knock out F-Zero with Blizzard, but F-Zero is a steel type, so it resists us. You need to be a bit lucky on the first turn because it can use a random move. You'll also need to Ice Shard at the first turn and pray that it doesn't knock you out with Flare Blitz or Iron Head. Only then can you set up a Hail on the second turn because you need to extend your Hail for as long as possible, but you'll also need the Ice Shard chip on the first turn. Thankfully, we don't need to waste a turn to swap in our Frillish. If you do manage to get this far and select the good prompt of I'm sorry, F-Zero will use Flare Blitz to instantly switch out your cryo. If you're unlucky and get knocked out first turn, then you'll have to reset. But there's still more. Since Blizzard damage only does resisted damage, you're forced to brine F-Zero until it dips below half health and slowly chip it down with Blizzards. For some reason, Ironhead has a 99% flinch chance, and every attempt that did go past 2 turns died to mathematically impossible crits. The only way I beat this one is by getting lucky with my first Blizzard and freezing F-Zero on the first turn. This let me chip at it safely, which allowed me to finish the shoot. In the final act, our female assistant managed to suppress the controlling program, allowing us to say goodbye to F-Zero one last time. We can fix you, don't exert yourself. It seems that under the suppression from the program, F-Zero doesn't really want to attack us. It doesn't know why it's doing this, it has no control. It only knows that it has to. In its final moments, they ask us to destroy him before it can do any more damage. Thank you for everything, it says. In a world getting more and more access to AI technology, I can only hope that if they do gain a consciousness, they don't wish to end themselves. The final and last movie series to film is called Ghost Erasers, the Game Freak knockoff of Ghostbusters. In this movie, we need to catch and remove ghosts haunting the nearby village. We start with the haunted man Kadath. In order to progress, we need to defeat all 3 of his Pokemon in 3 turns. If we mourn their passing, they won't use Destiny Bond on us, allowing Vigoroth to Shadow Claw the ghost Pokemon. The ghosts seem worried, but that doesn't mean that they can continue to haunt the villagers. I asked the man, "Are you worried about something?" And it seems like this man's daughter has been possessed by ghosts. In the next movie, we come across the said girl in the house. She attacks us with a lighthearted spirit, so we have to retaliate back with Brick Break. She's just here to play. Since we need to defeat a Pokemon every single turn, we need to hit back against the Quillfish with Shockwave. She reveals to us that there was a magician who imprisoned himself because he got tired of living, and after beating the Curlia with Shadow Claw, it's revealed that he was not a great person. An archaeologist in the next town over hires us to investigate one of his cursed treasures. It appears that this statue was made by a group of people who followed the Magic of Mayhem. The treasure sends out a Golurk, and we've just interrupted its sleep. To the ghost in the statue, we tell it to be gone, and they ask us, "Who are you?" So we say, "We'll mourn your passing." They ask us, "What do we want? Why are we here?" And we're given 4 prompts to answer with: love, money, power, or nothing. Anything you pick here is the same, so I just pick love. Then he asks, "What do we want?" And you should reply with Slacking, your partner and your Pokemon with you right now. After you've defeated the spirit in the statue, it grants you with a great power to make any wish come true, so no wonder it's been sealed away in a statue. But now with the spirit released, we recognize the voice. The magician Arkham. Damn, they really be ripping off Ghostbusters and Batman. In the final act, we come face to face against the Majin of Mayhem. The Majin is a Ghost Dark type and it has Wonder Guard. And in Gen 5 where Fairy doesn't exist, you can't touch this thing. You have to sacrifice your Cofagrigus in the back to Dual Chop so that the physical touch turns its ability into Mummy. You then have to select the right prompts to force it into setting up sword stances. The Majin will ask what it hates. If you choose Boredom, it gives you the extra turn to soak it with a Water type. You can then start building your attacks with Charge Beam. The next line you must choose is Dancing as its favorite thing. Then when it asks you about what you think about it, hopefully you answer with Wild. Hopefully by now you've defeated the Majin. I was able to get lucky and crit the Majin with my last Charge Beam, which gave me the win early. But if not, then selecting Patience as a last prompt would give you 1 more turn. With the Majin defeated, it feels appeased, satisfied, and it just wants to go home and sleep. And we've eradicated the village of its haunting ghosts. So that's it then. We filmed all the movies, right? We've gone through every series and got all the good endings. Well, not yet. If you go back to the filming studio, the teller at the front will now congratulate us, saying that our film career has been going on for a while now, and he'll announce that there's one last script to be made. Bryson Man Strikes Back Harder. In order to get this script, you'll need to head over to Icerius City and talk to Bryson. He tells us that acting is a type of battle, another way to strengthen the bond between Pokemon and people, and he's going to demonstrate that to us in the final movie. This is Back to the Classics, another hero movie for us to star in. Bryson Man Strikes Back Harder, the final showdown. Our only goal is to defeat Bryson Man and his team of dark Pokemon. He's been preparing for us since we beat him in the beginning of our movie star journey, so I say bring it on. His Weavile Ice Shards us for quick damage, but Lucario can quickly recover that HP with a quad-effective Drain Punch. This baits in Houndoom with super effective Fire Fang. It also has Troupple Berry, so I can't kill it directly. Rather, I'll have to let Houndoom hit us with a Fire Fang, proccing our Focus Sash at 1 HP. I can then counter to kill. This brings in Hydreigon, who takes the battle into the sky. Since our health is so low, we can reversal for maximum damage to knock it out. His Bisharp is slower than Lucario, which allows me to Drain Punch for the kill while also gaining some health back. Sharpedo takes the battle into space somehow. Now that our health is recovered, we can tank Aqua Jet from Sharpedo and hit back with another Drain Punch to gain even more health back. This leaves his final Pokemon Zoroark. Dark Gem Payback is quad resisted, and a final Drain Punch for super effective damage ends the Zorwork and grants me the win against Bryson Man. As Bryson Man disappears, our alarm rings, waking us up for another day of school. And that's it. We've completed all of Pokéstar Studios by achieving the good ending in all movies. Once you film all the movies, Mr. Stu D.O. will put up a bronze statue in your name to signify the highest of achievements. Additionally, you get access to the first class ultra deluxe dressing room that's only for stars. With that being said, if you've enjoyed this video, then please like and share. This is different from the usual Nuzlockes I post. I really like videos exploring all the game's features, so if you want to see more content like this, comment down below. But for now, subscribe and stay tuned.